The stars looked different today. Captain Tejo pressed his face against the observation window of the space station New Sol. For the first time in human history, aliens were coming to visit Earth. Real aliens. Not the stuff of movies or books, but actual beings from another world. "Captain, they're here," said Dr. Somin as she walked into the observation deck. Her voice shook a little. Even though she was Earth's best expert on alien life, she had never actually met any real aliens before. Nobody had. Tejo turned around and smiled at her. "Are you ready for this, Doctor?" Somin nodded, but her hands were shaking. She looked out the window and saw a ship unlike anything humans had ever built. It was smooth and white, shaped like a giant flower petal. There were no sharp edges anywhere. It moved through space like it was floating on water. "It's beautiful," whispered Jinwoo, the cultural attaché. He had been quiet all morning, probably thinking about what to say to beings from another planet. "I never imagined an alien ship would look so peaceful." The alien ship slowly moved closer to the space station. It made no sound, of course. Space was silent. But somehow it felt gentle, like a bird landing on a tree branch. "Incoming message," announced the communication officer. "They're speaking English." Tejo raised his eyebrows. "How do they know our language?" "We've been watching your broadcast for many years," came a soft voice through the speakers. The voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "We learned your languages from your television and radio signals. May we come aboard your station?" "Of course," Tejo replied. "We welcome you to New Sol Station." An hour later, the docking was complete. Tejo, Somin, and Jinwoo waited in the main docking bay. They wore their best uniforms and tried to look friendly, but not too excited. First contact protocols said to be calm and respectful. The airlock door opened with a soft hiss. The aliens who walked through were nothing like humans expected. They were tall and thin with long arms and legs. Their skin was pale blue like the color of ice. They had large, round eyes that seemed to sparkle with kindness. Their faces were soft and gentle with no hard lines or sharp features. "Greetings, humans of Earth," said the first alien. "I am Ambassador Kethala of the Villani people. These are my companions, Velthara and Morgan." The aliens moved like dancers, each step smooth and careful. They wore flowing robes that seemed to shimmer in the station's lights. Everything about them felt peaceful and calm. "Welcome to our station," Tejo said with a bow. "I am Captain Tejo. This is Dr. Somin, our expert on biology, and Jinwoo, who helps different cultures understand each other." Ambassador Kethala smiled. At least Tejo thought it was a smile. The alien's face brightened and his large eyes seemed to glow warmer. "We have traveled far to meet you," Kethala said. "Your species interests us greatly. From your broadcasts, we see that you are a gentle people who care for each other and your world." Somin stepped forward. "We're honored by your visit. We have so many questions about your people and your world." "And we have questions about yours," said Velthara, her voice even softer than Kethala's. "We have watched your nature programs. You care for small animals and grow beautiful plants. You heal the sick and help those in need. This is very rare in the galaxy." Jinwoo felt proud hearing this. "We try to take care of each other and our planet. Would you like to see more of our station?" The aliens nodded eagerly. For the next several hours, the humans showed their visitors around New Sol Station. They visited the biodomes where Earth plants grew in space. The aliens were amazed by the gardens, touching the leaves gently and asking about each flower. "These are roses," explained Commander Heijin, who had joined the tour. "Humans grow them just because they're beautiful and smell nice." "You grow things that serve no purpose except beauty?" asked Morgan, sounding surprised. "Beauty is purpose enough," Heijin replied with a smile. In the medical bay, Dr. Youngsu showed the aliens how humans healed injuries and treated diseases. The aliens watched in wonder as he explained how humans work to save every life, no matter how small or seemingly unimportant. "On our world," Velthara said quietly, "we have no sickness. We do not understand why some beings suffer while others do not, but you work so hard to end suffering. This is beautiful." The aliens were especially interested in the children's area of the station. Through the windows, they watched human children playing games, laughing, and learning together. Some children were drawing pictures, others were building things with colorful blocks. "Your young ones seem very happy," observed Kethala. "They play instead of preparing for survival. This means your world is very safe." Tejo and Somin exchanged glances. Earth wasn't always safe, but they didn't want to worry their new friends. "We work hard to make our world safe for children." Taeho said carefully. As the day continued, the aliens asked many questions about human culture. They wanted to know about human music, art, and food. They were fascinated by human emotions and relationships. You form bonds with beings that are not your own species, Morgan said, watching videos of humans with their pets. You care for creatures that cannot help you in return. We call them friends, So-min explained. We love them because they bring us joy. Love, Velthara repeated the word slowly. We have studied this human emotion. It seems to make you want to protect and nurture others, even at cost to yourselves. That's right, Jinwoo said. Love makes us want to take care of the things we care about. By the end of the day, the aliens seemed very pleased with what they had learned about humans. Ambassador Kethiala called his companions together for a private discussion in their musical language. Then he turned back to the humans. We are very impressed with your species, he announced. You are what we call a nurturing species. This is very rare. Most intelligent life forms we have met are focused on survival and competition, but you focus on care and cooperation. Thank you, Taeho said, feeling proud but also curious. How many other species have you met? Many, Kethala replied. We are part of the Galactic Peaceful Alliance. It is a group of gentle species who have chosen to live in harmony instead of conflict. We would like to invite Earth to join us. The humans looked at each other in amazement, an invitation to join a galactic alliance. It was more than they had ever dreamed possible. We would be honored to learn more about your alliance, So-min said. Wonderful, Kethala said, his eyes glowing brighter. We will send teachers and diplomats to Earth. You will send some of your people to visit our worlds. Together we will build a future of peace and understanding. As the aliens prepared to return to their ship, Velthara approached So-min privately. Doctor, she said quietly, we have never met predators in space. All the species in our alliance evolved from plant-eaters. We do not understand violence or aggression. Your people seem so gentle and caring. This gives us great hope that the galaxy can be a place of only peace. So-min nodded and smiled, but something in her stomach felt uncomfortable. She thought about Earth's history, about the parts of human nature they hadn't shown their visitors. She pushed those thoughts away. Today was about friendship and hope. We look forward to learning from you, So-min said. As the alien ship gracefully departed, the humans watched from the observation deck. They had made first contact and it had gone better than anyone could have hoped. They seem so innocent, Jinwoo said quietly. Yes, Taeho agreed, almost like children. None of them knew how true those words would prove to be. 3 months had passed since first contact. The world had changed in ways nobody expected. The Vellani kept their promise and sent a research team to Earth. Dr. Velthara and scientist Morgan arrived in Seoul on a sunny Tuesday morning, and the whole city felt different. Marine biologist Young-soo waited at the landing pad with historian Nara. They had been chosen to host the alien visitors because they were calm and patient people. The government wanted to make sure the aliens felt welcome and safe. Are you nervous? Nara asked, adjusting her jacket for the 10th time. A little, Young-soo admitted. I've studied ocean life my whole career, but aliens. This is new territory. The Vellani transport ship landed without a sound. It was smaller than their first ship, designed for just a few passengers. When the door opened, Velthara stepped out first, followed by Morgan. They looked around Seoul with wonder, their large eyes taking in everything. The air smells different here, Velthara said, breathing deeply. So many scents mixed together. That's the city, Young-soo explained. Flowers from the parks, food from restaurants, and millions of people living together. Morgan pointed at the birds flying overhead. Those creatures move through your atmosphere with such freedom. On our world, all flying beings are much larger. For the next few weeks, Young-soo and Nara showed the aliens around Earth. They visited museums, parks, schools, and research centers. The Vellani were amazed by everything they saw. In the children's hospital, they watched doctors and nurses working to heal sick kids. The aliens saw humans spending hours trying to save lives, using expensive equipment and medicine on patients who might never be able to pay them back. Why do you do this? Morgan asked a nurse named Sunhee. These young ones cannot work or help your society yet. Sunhee looked confused by the question. Because they're children. They deserve to be healthy and happy, even if it costs your society resources. Especially then, Sunhee replied. Taking care of our children is the most important thing we do. The aliens recorded everything in their devices. They made notes about human kindness, cooperation, and what they called inefficient caring behavior. To them, the fact that humans spent so much energy helping others without getting anything back was fascinating. At the Seoul Zoo, the aliens were amazed by how humans cared for animals from all over the world. Zookeeper Kyung-ho explained how they protected endangered species and helped injured wildlife. You keep creatures from other parts of your world just to preserve them? Velthara asked, watching elephants play in their enclosure. We feel responsible for them, Kyung-ho said. Humans have changed the world a lot. We want to make sure other species survive too. But they serve no function for your survival, Morgan pointed out. They don't have to, Kyung-ho replied. They have value just by existing. The aliens spent hours watching elderly humans feeding birds in the park. They saw young people helping old people cross streets. They observed humans picking up litter that other humans had dropped, cleaning up messes they didn't make. Your species confuses us, Velthara told Nara one evening over dinner. You do so many things that don't benefit you directly. You help strangers, care for the weak, and protect those who cannot protect themselves. Doesn't everyone do that? Nara asked. No, Morgan said quietly. We have met 47 intelligent species in the galaxy. You are the first to show this level of care for others. Most species only help their own family groups. Young-Soo felt proud but also worried. He had been reading about some of the other species in the Galactic Alliance. They all seemed very peaceful but also very simple. They had never developed weapons, never fought wars, never faced serious threats. Earth was different. The aliens asked many questions about human history. Nara tried to answer honestly, but she focused on the good parts. She talked about human art, literature, and scientific discoveries. She explained how humans built cities and worked together to solve problems. Tell us about your conflicts, Velthara requested one day. Your records show that humans sometimes disagree with each other. Nara chose her words carefully. Sometimes people have different ideas about how things should be done. When that happens, we try to talk and find solutions that work for everyone. And if talking doesn't work, we keep trying, Nara said. We believe that most problems can be solved if people are willing to listen to each other. The aliens seemed satisfied with this answer. They made notes about human advanced conflict resolution and peaceful problem-solving methods. But things started to change in the fourth week of their visit. News reports began talking about problems in the outer colonies. Some groups of humans had broken away from Earth's government and were causing trouble. What are separatists? Morgan asked, reading the news on his device. Some humans who want to live independently, Young-Soo explained. They don't want to follow Earth's rules anymore. And they are causing difficulties? Some of them, yes. They're taking things that don't belong to them and threatening people. The aliens looked confused. But they are humans like you. Why would they threaten other humans? Nara and Young-Soo exchanged glances. This was getting into territory they had hoped to avoid. Sometimes people make bad choices, Nara said carefully. Not all humans are good people. We do not understand, Velthara said. If they are the same species as you, why are they not kind and caring like you? Before anyone could answer, Young-Soo's communication device buzzed with an urgent message. His face went pale as he read it. What is it? Nara asked. The separatists attacked another supply ship, Young-Soo said quietly. They killed the entire crew and stole the cargo. The aliens looked shocked. Killed? Morgan repeated. You mean they ended the lives of other beings? Yes, Young-Soo said, his voice tight. But why? What purpose does ending life serve? None, Nara said. It serves no purpose at all. That's why it's wrong. The aliens spent the rest of the day in quiet discussion among themselves. They spoke in their musical language, which sounded more urgent than usual. Young-Soo and Nara could tell they were upset, but they didn't know what to say to comfort them. That evening, Captain Tae-ho called from the orbital station. His image appeared on the main screen in their apartment, and the aliens gathered to listen. I have bad news, Tae-ho said. The separatist group has attacked mining station Omega-7. They've taken hostages. How many? Young-Soo asked. 37 people, including 5 Villani researchers who were visiting the station. The room went completely silent. Velthara and Morgan stared at the screen in shock. Our people? Velthara whispered. They have taken our people? I'm afraid so, Tae-ho said. But don't worry. We're going to get them back. How? Morgan asked. Tae-ho paused for a moment. We're sending a rescue team. Will you talk to these separatists? Will you negotiate for the release of our people? Another pause. We'll try talking first. But if they won't listen, what then? Velthara pressed. Teho's expression changed. For just a moment, his kind face became harder, colder. Then we'll do whatever is necessary to bring your people home safely. The aliens didn't understand the change in his tone, but Young-Su and Nara did. They had seen that look before, though not often. It was the look humans got when someone threatened the people they cared about. I need to return to the station immediately. Teho continued. Young-Su, Nara, please take care of our guests. Keep them safe until this is resolved. After the call ended, the aliens sat in stunned silence. We do not understand, Velthara said finally. Why would some humans take others against their will? What do they hope to gain? Power, Nara said sadly. Some people think that hurting others will get them what they want. But it is illogical, Morgan protested. Cooperation achieves more than aggression. We have proven this across the galaxy. Yes, Young-Su agreed. But not everyone thinks logically when they're angry or desperate. The aliens looked at each other with an expression Young-Su had never seen before. For the first time since they arrived, the Villani looked afraid. Will your people be able to rescue ours? Velthara asked quietly. Young-Su thought about Captain Teho's expression, about the cold determination in his voice. He thought about Earth's military, and what they were capable of when innocent lives were at stake. Yes, he said with certainty. They'll get your people back. How can you be so sure? Young-Su looked out the window at the peaceful city below. People were walking their dogs. Couples were holding hands. Children were playing in the parks. Everything looked normal and gentle, just as it had for weeks. Because, Young-Su said slowly, humans are very good at protecting the people they care about. He didn't mention that being good at protection sometimes required being good at other things too. Things the aliens wouldn't understand until they saw them with their own eyes. The call came at dinner time. Young-Su, Nara, and their alien guests were eating at a restaurant in downtown Seoul when Young-Su's emergency communication device started beeping. The sound was sharp and urgent, cutting through the peaceful evening like a knife. Excuse me, Young-Su said, stepping away from the table to take the call. The aliens continued eating their vegetable dishes, commenting on the interesting flavors of Earth food. Nara watched Young-Su's face change as he listened to whoever was on the other end. His relaxed expression disappeared, replaced by something harder and more focused. When he returned to the table, he looked like a different person. We need to go back to my apartment immediately, he said in a voice that had no emotion in it. Is something wrong? Velthara asked, noticing the change in his tone. Captain Teho needs to speak with us. It's about your people. They left the restaurant quickly. During the ride back, Young-Su made several calls on his device. The aliens noticed that he spoke differently now, using short, sharp sentences and asking for specific numbers and details. It was nothing like the gentle scientist who had been showing them around the city. At the apartment, Teho's image appeared on the main screen. Behind him, the orbital station's command center was busy with activity. People moved with purpose, carrying data tablets and speaking in urgent whispers. The situation has gotten worse, Teho announced without any greeting. The separatists have made demands. They want the Earth government to officially recognize their independence and provide them with advanced weapons. What did the government say? Nara asked. They refused, of course. We don't negotiate with terrorists. Velthara looked confused. Terrorists? People who use violence and fear to get what they want, Young-Su explained. His voice was still cold and factual. But surely you can find a peaceful solution, Morgan suggested. Perhaps offer them something else they want? Teho's expression grew even harder. They've already killed 3 of the human hostages to show they're serious. They're threatening to kill 1 hostage every 6 hours until their demands are met. The aliens gasped in horror. They ended lives? Velthara whispered. For no reason except to frighten others? That's what terrorists do, Teho said. And that's why we don't negotiate with them. Then what will you do? Morgan asked. We're going to get your people back. How? Teho paused, looking at the aliens carefully. We're sending a military rescue team to the station. Young-Su straightened up in his chair. What's the timeline? 6 hours. The team will breach the station during the night shift when most of the separatists will be sleeping. Nara pulled out her own communication device and started typing rapidly. I can provide psychological profiles of the separatist leadership. Their weak points, their fears, what motivates them. The alien stared at her in shock. The gentle historian who had spent weeks talking about human art and culture was suddenly discussing the psychological weaknesses of other humans. Good, Taeho said. Send me everything you have. Dr. So-min is already analyzing their communication patterns and decision-making processes. Young-soo leaned forward. What about the station layout? I worked on similar mining platforms during my military service. I know their weak points, military service, Velthara interrupted. You were a soldier? Young-soo looked at her as if she had asked a strange question. Of course. Most humans serve in the military when they're young. It's part of our education. But you study ocean life. You are a scientist who loves sea creatures. Yes. And I'm also trained to fight when necessary. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. How could the same person who spent hours talking about protecting fish also know how to attack space stations? Dr. So-min's voice came through the communication system. Captain, I've finished the psychological analysis of the separatist leader. His name is Kang Min, former military officer, dismissed for excessive aggression. He's intelligent but unstable, prone to violence when cornered. Recommendations? Don't give him time to think. Hit hard and fast. He'll escalate if he feels like he's losing control. Taeho nodded. Admiral Subin is already briefing the strike team. They'll use the maintenance tunnels to get inside without being detected. Who's leading the assault? Young-soo asked. Captain Minho. You know him. Young-soo smiled for the first time since the call began, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was the expression of a predator thinking about hunting. Minho's good. Very good. The aliens watched this conversation in growing horror. These humans, who had spent weeks showing them kindness and gentleness, were suddenly talking about attacking other humans with cold efficiency. They used words like breach, assault, and neutralize as easily as they had talked about flowers and art. Wait, Velthara said, her voice shaking. You're planning to use violence against these separatists? They used violence first, Nara replied without looking up from her device. They made the choice to hurt innocent people. But violence only creates more violence. Surely there must be another way. Young-soo looked at her with patience, but also with something the aliens had never seen in human eyes before. It was a cold, calculating look that made them feel afraid. Velthara, he said quietly, your people are being held by humans who have already killed 3 innocent beings. They will kill more unless we stop them. Talking won't work because they don't want to talk. They want to hurt people, so you will hurt them instead. If necessary, yes. The simple answer shocked the aliens more than anything else. There was no anger in Young-soo's voice, no emotion at all. He spoke about hurting people the same way he had spoken about protecting sea life, as if it was just a necessary task to be completed. Admiral Subin appeared on the screen, joining the conference call. She was a tall woman with graying hair and eyes that seemed to see everything at once. The strike team is ready, she announced. We have 43 Special Forces soldiers equipped for space station assault. The plan is simple. 3 entry points, simultaneous breach, secure hostages, neutralize threats. Neutralize threats? Morgan repeated. Kill or capture the separatists, Subin explained matter-of-factly. Kill? The alien's voice was barely a whisper. If they resist or threaten the hostages, yes. We won't let innocent people die to protect the guilty. Dr. So-min's voice came through again. Admiral, I recommend psychological warfare during the initial breach. Loud noises, bright lights, confusion. Kang Min doesn't handle stress well. Already planned, Subin replied. We'll use sonic disruptors to disorient them. Jinwoo appeared on another screen from the orbital station. The cultural attaché who had spent the first meeting talking about human art and music was now providing tactical advice. The separatists have been isolated on that station for months, he said. They're paranoid and suspicious of each other. If we can create enough chaos, they might turn on each other instead of focusing on us. Taeho nodded approvingly. Good thinking. Nara, can you predict how they'll react to different scenarios? Nara had finished typing and was now studying data on her screen. Based on their psychological profiles, they'll probably split into 3 groups if attacked. The hardcore fighters will try to make a stand, the moderates will try to surrender, and the cowards will try to escape. Perfect. We can use that division against them. The aliens listened to this conversation with growing terror. These humans, who had seemed so gentle and caring, were planning military operations with frightening skill. They talked about human psychology, tactical advantages, and combat strategies as if they had been doing it their whole lives. I don't understand, Velthara said, her voice breaking. How can you know these things? How can you plan to hurt people so easily? The room went quiet. All the humans looked at the aliens with expressions that mixed sympathy with something else, something that made the aliens want to run away. Because, Young-Su said gently, we've had to learn these things to survive. But your world is peaceful. You showed us gardens and hospitals and schools. Our world is peaceful because we protect it, Nara explained. Peace doesn't happen by accident. Someone has to guard it. Guard it from what? Young-Su and Nara exchanged glances. From people like the Separatists. From those who would hurt the innocent to get what they want. Admiral Subin's voice cut through the tension. Launch in 30 minutes. All teams, final equipment check. Tejo turned back to the aliens. This will be over soon. We'll get your people back safely. How can you be so certain? Morgan asked. Because, Tejo said with absolute confidence, when humans decide to protect someone, we're very good at it. The aliens saw something in his eyes that they had never seen before in any species they had met. It was the look of a being that was willing to do terrible things to protect others. It was the expression of a creature that could choose to be gentle or deadly, depending on what the situation required. For the first time since arriving on Earth, the Villani realized they might not understand humans as well as they thought they did. The alien visitors watched the rescue mission unfold through the orbital station's long-range sensors. Admiral Subin had allowed them to observe from the command center, though she warned them that what they were about to see might be disturbing. We want to understand, Velthara had insisted. If our people are in danger, we need to see how you will save them. Now, 3 hours into the mission, the aliens were beginning to regret that decision. Captain Minho's voice came through the communication system, calm and professional. Strike Team Alpha approaching target. Mining Station Omega-7 in visual range. On the main screen, the aliens could see the station floating in space. It looked peaceful enough, just a collection of metal modules and docking ports surrounded by mining equipment. But they knew that inside, their friends were being held captive by dangerous humans. Sensors show 41 life signs, reported Lieutenant Bora from Strike Team Beta. 37 hostages, 4 separatists on guard duty. Young-Su, who had been brought to the command center as an expert on station layouts, studied the tactical display. The separatists will have the hostages in the central module. It's the most secure location, easiest to defend. What about the other separatists? Asked Dr. So-Min. Sleeping in the crew quarters based on the heat signatures, reported the sensor operator. Looks like they're keeping a minimal guard. Admiral Subin nodded. They think they're safe out here. They don't expect us to attack. Nara pulled up psychological profiles on her tablet. Kang Min, the separatist leader, will be with the hostages. He's too paranoid to leave them unguarded. The guards will be his most loyal followers. The aliens listened to this analysis with growing unease. The humans spoke about the separatists like they were studying animals, predicting their behavior with scientific precision. Strike teams in position, Minho reported. Alpha team at Maintenance Hatch 7, Beta team at Cargo Bay 3, Gamma team at Emergency Airlock 12. Confirmed, Subin replied. You are go for breach in 60 seconds. The aliens watched 3 groups of armored figures moving through space toward the station. They moved like hunters, silent and coordinated. Each soldier knew exactly where to go and what to do. 30 seconds. Bora's voice was barely a whisper. The aliens could see inside the station through thermal imaging. Most of the separatists were still sleeping. The hostages were gathered in one room, guarded by 4 figures. Everything looked calm and quiet. 10 seconds. Minho counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, breach! What happened next shocked the aliens to their core. The human strike teams moved like lightning. All 3 groups entered the station at exactly the same moment. The separatist guards had no time to react before they were overwhelmed by armored figures moving with perfect coordination. Alpha team, hostage room secured, Minho reported. 4 guards neutralized, no casualties among prisoners. Beta team, crew quarters secured, Bora announced. 15 separatists in custody, no resistance. Gamma team, command center secured, reported Lieutenant Hyun Woo. Control systems locked down, station is ours. The entire operation took less than 4 minutes. The aliens stared at the screens in stunned silence. They had just watched human soldiers take control of an entire space station with surgical precision. No one had been killed, but the Separatists had been completely helpless against the human military. Hostages are secure. Minho's voice came through clearly. All Villani civilians are unharmed and ready for transport. Velthara felt relief wash over her, but it was mixed with a deep sense of confusion and fear. How did they do that so quickly? Training, Young-Soo explained. Human military forces practice these operations constantly. They know how to work together like parts of a machine. But the Separatists are also human. Why couldn't they defend themselves? Dr. Soman answered from her position at the analysis station. Because they're not real soldiers. They're angry civilians with weapons. The strike teams are professional warriors. The word warriors made the aliens flinch. They had never heard humans describe themselves that way before. On the screen, they could see inside the station now. The human soldiers moved through the corridors with weapons ready, checking every room and corner. They wore full armor and moved like predators hunting prey. Strike Team Alpha, we have the Separatist leader in custody, Minho reported. Kangmin is secured and ready for transport. Any resistance? Subin asked. Negative. He surrendered immediately when he saw we had his position surrounded. Nara nodded with satisfaction, just as predicted. He's aggressive when he feels powerful, but cowardly when faced with superior force. The aliens watched human soldiers escorting prisoners through the station corridors. The Separatists looked defeated and terrified. Some were crying. These were the same humans who had killed innocent hostages just hours earlier, but now they seemed helpless as children. I don't understand, Morgan said quietly. The Separatists seemed so dangerous before. How did your soldiers defeat them so easily? Admiral Subin turned to look at the alien. Because there's a difference between someone who uses violence out of anger and someone who's trained to use violence to protect others. What do you mean? The Separatists hurt people because they were frustrated and wanted to feel powerful. Our soldiers hurt people only when necessary to save innocent lives. Training, discipline, and purpose make all the difference. Young-Soo pointed to the tactical display. Look how the strike teams moved. Every action was planned and coordinated. They knew exactly where to go and what to do. The Separatists were just reacting to events. But how do humans learn to do such things? Velthara asked. We study war, Nara said simply. We study human psychology, tactics, weapons, and strategy. We learn from every conflict in our history so we can be better at protecting people. You study war to create peace? We study war to end wars quickly, Subin corrected. The faster we can defeat those who threaten innocent people, the less suffering there will be overall. The aliens thought about this as they watched the hostages being moved to safety. The Villani prisoners looked tired and scared, but they were alive and unharmed. The human soldiers treated them gently, offering food and medical care. Hostage transport complete, Bora reported. All civilians are aboard the rescue ship and heading home. Excellent work, Subin replied. Station secured, prisoners in custody. Mission successful with 0 casualties among friendlies. The aliens noticed how the humans talked about the operation. They used words like neutralized, secured, and mission parameters. It was the language of people who had done this many times before. Have you conducted many operations like this? Velthara asked. More than we'd like, Taeho answered from his position at the command station. Unfortunately, there are always some humans who choose to hurt others instead of helping them. And you always stop them? We try. That's what militaries are for, to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Dr. Soman pulled up statistics on her screen. This was actually a relatively small operation. Earth's military conducts hundreds of rescue missions every year. Pirates, terrorists, criminals who take hostages. There's always someone threatening innocent people. The aliens looked at the numbers in shock. They had thought Earth was a peaceful world, but apparently humans were constantly fighting other humans to maintain that peace. Your world has so much violence, Morgan observed sadly. Our world has some violence, Young-Soo corrected, but we work very hard to keep it contained. When bad people try to hurt good people, we stop them. By hurting the bad people, by doing whatever is necessary to protect the innocent, Subin said firmly. Sometimes that means hurting those who would hurt others. The rescue ships were returning to the orbital station now. Soon the Villani hostages would be reunited with their colleagues on Earth. The crisis was over, and everyone was safe. But the aliens felt like they understood humans less now than they had before the rescue. These gentle, caring beings who loved art and music and flowers were also capable of military operations that would have been impossible for any species the Villani had ever met. "How can you be both?" Velthara asked quietly. "How can you be so gentle and so dangerous at the same time?" The humans in the command center looked at each other. They seemed puzzled by the question. "We're gentle with those who deserve gentleness," Taeho said finally, "and dangerous to those who threaten the people we care about. It's not complicated," Young-Soo added. "We protect our friends and our families. That's what love means to humans, the willingness to do anything necessary to keep our loved ones safe." The aliens realized they were seeing something completely new. Every other species they had met was either peaceful or aggressive, but never both. Humans could switch between the two states depending on the situation. As the rescued hostages were brought aboard the station, the aliens watched human soldiers carefully removing their weapons and armor. Within minutes, the same people who had just conducted a military assault were helping scared civilians find food and medical care. The transformation was complete and instant. The warriors had become caregivers again, as if the mission had never happened. "We should go greet your people," Nara suggested gently. "They've been through a terrible experience," as they walked toward the docking bay. 3 days after the rescue mission, Ambassador Cathala requested a private meeting with Captain Taeho. The Villani delegation had been unusually quiet since watching the human military operation. They spent most of their time in their quarters, speaking in their musical language and reviewing the recordings they had made. The meeting took place in the observation lounge of New Seoul Station. Earth floated peacefully below them, looking blue and green and beautiful. It was hard to believe that such a gentle-looking world could produce the warriors they had witnessed. "Captain Taeho," Cathala began, his voice more serious than usual. "We need to discuss what we have learned about your species." Taeho nodded. He had been expecting this conversation. "I understand you have questions about the rescue operation." "Questions, yes. But also, fears." The human captain sat down across from the alien ambassador. "What frightens you?" Cathala looked out at Earth, gathering his thoughts. "When we first met humans, we thought you were like us. Gentle beings who had evolved past violence and aggression. We believed you were a nurturing species that had chosen peace over conflict." "We are a nurturing species," Taeho said quietly. "But you are also something else, something we have never encountered before." Cathala turned to face him. "You are predators." The word hung in the air between them. Taeho didn't deny it. "We watched your soldiers move through that space station," Cathala continued. "They didn't fight the separatists, they hunted them. Like creatures stalking prey. The separatists never had a chance because your people knew exactly how to defeat them. The separatists chose to become our enemies when they threatened innocent people," Taeho replied. "We gave them every opportunity to surrender peacefully. That's not what disturbs us. What disturbs us is how easily your people transformed from gentle caregivers into efficient killers. Dr. So-min analyzing human psychology to find weaknesses. Young-Soo discussing battle tactics. Nara predicting how enemies would react to fear." Taeho sighed. He had hoped to avoid this conversation, but he knew it was necessary. "Ambassador, may I show you something?" Cathala nodded. Taeho activated the room's display system. Images began appearing on the walls. Pictures from Earth's history. But these weren't the peaceful scenes the aliens had been shown before. "This is human history," Taeho said. "The real history." The aliens saw images of ancient battles, medieval weapons, and modern warfare. They saw humans fighting each other with swords, guns, and advanced technology. They saw cities destroyed, armies clashing, and weapons capable of destroying entire planets. "For thousands of years, humans fought each other," Taeho explained. "We had wars over territory, resources, ideas, and beliefs. We built weapons that could kill millions of people at once. We created military strategies that could defeat any enemy." Cathala stared at the images in horror. So much violence. So much death. Yes. But something interesting happened along the way. The images changed to show human soldiers helping civilians, armies building schools and hospitals, warriors becoming peacekeepers. We learned that our greatest strength wasn't in conquering enemies, it was in protecting friends. More images appeared. Human soldiers rescuing people from natural disasters, military forces delivering food to starving populations, warriors laying down their weapons to become teachers and doctors. We discovered that the same skills we used to defeat enemies could be used to protect innocents. The same weapons that destroyed cities could defend them. The same strategic thinking that won wars could prevent them. Dr. Soman appeared in the doorway. "May I join this conversation?" Teho nodded and she sat down with them. "I've been studying Villani biology and psychology," she said to Kethala. "Your species evolved on a world with no natural predators. You never had to develop defensive capabilities or aggressive instincts. Every species you've met in space has been the same. Peaceful herbivores who never learned to fight. And humans are different." Kethala said, "Humans evolved as both predators and prey," Soman explained. "We had to learn to hunt for food. But we also had to defend ourselves from creatures that wanted to hunt us. This made us very good at both attacking and protecting." Youngsu and Nara entered the lounge together. They had been expecting to be called to this meeting. "The humans we showed you for the past few months weren't fake," Nara said, sitting down with the group. "We really are gentle, caring beings who love art and music and literature. We really do spend enormous resources helping others and protecting the weak. But you're also capable of terrible violence," Kethala observed. "When necessary, yes," Youngsu confirmed. "Every human has the capacity for both love and violence. We choose which one to use based on the situation." "How do you choose?" Nara thought for a moment. "We ask ourselves, will gentleness protect the innocent? If the answer is yes, we're gentle. If the answer is no, we use whatever force is necessary. But how do you control such power? How do you prevent humans from becoming monsters?" "Training," Teho said. "Education, laws, culture. We teach our children that violence should only be used to protect others, never to hurt innocents. We train our soldiers to be warriors, not killers." "What's the difference?" Kethala asked. Admiral Subin's voice came from the doorway. "May I answer that?" She had been listening from the corridor. "Please," Teho said. Subin entered and stood before the alien ambassador. "A killer takes life for personal gain or pleasure. A warrior takes life only to protect others. The difference is motivation and restraint. Our soldiers could have killed all the separatists on that station," Youngsu added, "but they didn't. They used only the minimum force necessary to rescue the hostages. This is what makes humans unique in the galaxy," Somin explained. "We have the capacity for both ultimate gentleness and ultimate violence, and we've learned to control which one we use." Kethala was quiet for a long time, processing what he had learned. Finally, he spoke. "So when you offered Earth membership in the Galactic Peaceful Alliance, we meant it," Teho said. "We want peace. We prefer peace, but we understand that peace sometimes requires the threat of violence to maintain it. The other species in your alliance," Nara said gently, "they're peaceful because they've never faced real threats. They don't understand that sometimes you have to fight to protect peace. But humans do understand this," Youngsu added. "We've learned it through thousands of years of conflict. We know that evil exists in the universe and good people must be willing to fight it." Admiral Subin stepped forward. "Ambassador, let me ask you something. Before humans arrived in your region of space, how many times were your peaceful worlds attacked by hostile forces?" Kethala thought about it. "Several times. Pirates, raiders, aggressive species from outside our alliance. We always negotiated with them or gave them what they wanted to make them go away. And after humans joined your alliance, the attacks stopped. Why do you think that happened?" Kethala looked at the human officers surrounding him. The answer was obvious, but he was afraid to say it. Because the hostile forces learned that attacking alliance worlds would mean fighting humans. He said quietly. "Exactly," Subin confirmed. "Your peace exists because humans are willing to defend it." The room fell silent again. Through the windows, Earth continued its peaceful rotation, looking like the gentlest world in the galaxy. "So what happens now?" Kethala asked. "What do we do with this knowledge about your species?" "You make a choice," Teho said. "You can reject us because we're capable of violence, or you can accept us as protectors who use that violence only to defend the innocent. If you choose to accept us," Nara added, "you need to understand what that means. It means humans will fight to protect alliance worlds. It means we'll hunt down anyone who threatens your people. It means we'll be your guardians, your defenders, your warriors. But it also means," Youngsu said with a gentle smile, "that you'll never have to be afraid again. Because humans protect the people we care about, and we've chosen to care about the Alliance." Dr. Somin pulled out her data tablet. "I've been analyzing the psychological profiles of every species in the Galactic Alliance. Do you know what they all have in common?" Cathala shook his head. They're all essentially children, she said. Innocent, trusting, vulnerable beings who never learned to defend themselves. You're not really a collection of allied species. You're a nursery of innocence that was waiting for someone to protect it. And humans? Cathala asked. Humans are the adults who just walked into the nursery, Tejo said. We're the ones who understand that sometimes you have to fight monsters to keep children safe. Ambassador Cathala stood up and walked to the window. He looked down at Earth, seeing it with completely new eyes. It wasn't just a peaceful blue world. It was the home of warriors who had chosen to become guardians. The Alliance will need time to discuss this, he said finally. Of course, Tejo replied. But while you're discussing it, remember this. 3 days ago, your people were in danger. Today, they're safe and heading home to their families. That happened because humans exist in this galaxy. And remember, Admiral Subin added, that humans chose to save your people, even though it required us to risk our own soldiers. We could have negotiated or paid ransom or simply written off the hostages as acceptable losses.